Hello. Welcome to our Star Wars Day stream. May the 4th be with you all. Now, growing up, I quite enjoyed Star Wars. And to start, we will be doing two tier lists. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so let's do that. There we go. So I recently was able to finish basically all except for Andor in terms of the live action series. Well, I've seen most of the films, so I basically rewatched everything, and then I also caught up with all the series aside from Andor. So to start, we are going to be doing a tier list. I guess D would just be have not seen. All right. So I believe this is in chronological order, and if you get offended, I apologize, but this is just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. This is my opinion. Okay, so first we got the Phantom Menace. This was the first Star Wars movie I've ever seen in a theater. I've had like lots of memories of it, a good amount of Lego sets from back then. We're kind of like a mix between mine and my brother's. Thank you for the resub. You're gonna get offended, don't worry. Everyone's getting offended today. But yeah, I had the Anakin's Pod Racer Lego set. I had one of the Vulture droids. And then I had the Naboo fighter. I believe those are the ones. Pretty sure I had something with the Darth Maul, but if you do this wrong, I will unsub. Oh well, you can unsub now. I don't think I had any sets, but I had those collectible sets where it's like three Jedis, or like three collectible figures. Then you put them side by side, and it had Darth Maul, Darth Sidious, and Darth Vader, or was it Boba Fett? I think it was Boba Fett. I'm not 100% sure because it's been years, and I know that Boba Fett is not in the first movie, but that was just how it was sold. I'm gonna put it in, let's say, A for now. Might shift later. Reason being, I grew up with it. It was the first movie a first Star Wars movie I've ever seen, so it holds like a special spot. I don't like how short the duel was at the end. Duel of the Fates, composed by, I believe, John Williams. The soundtrack of Star Wars was amazing, but like, if you call it the Duel of the Fates and then you have such a short duel, and like, it feels like Qui-Gon got cheated out of more movies, in my opinion. And I also feel like, like, as much as I enjoyed the movie, I feel like, well, you don't, like, if you just watch the movies, you don't actually know that Darth Maul lived. But just from the movie, it feels like both Qui-Gon and Darth Maul got robbed. So, yeah. Let's put it in A for now. Alright. So, after the Phantom Menace, we have Attack of the Clones. Now, from what I know, people really disliked Attack of the Clones. I'm trying to think back, so you start with Obi-Wan and now Padawan Anakin guarding Padme, which Padme was like to be assassinated. by these poison bugs, which was sent by this assassin, which was sent by Jango Fett, which I'm assuming was probably hired by the Emperor. It's just a lot. Like there was a meme about it. Like a lot of people sending things. Like it's like, hey, you do this, and they're like, okay, and then they get their own like, hey, you do this, and then it just keeps going down. Ultimately, the assassination attempt failed. I don't remember much about what happened in between. I guess was it like Anakin and Padme went back to Naboo to hide? Obi-Wan went to find out about there was the poison dart, right? The poison dart Obi-Wan went to track, which brought him to Kamino, and then they found the droid, I mean the clone army. And then Obi-Wan tried to follow Jango Fett, which brought him to Geonosis. And then you had that really, really epic battle. And that epic battle, there was something that really, really annoyed me, which I will get to it later. But yeah, so you had Padme, Anakin, and Obi-Wan kind of like tied up in this Coliseum kind of thing, and they got saved by, I guess, the storyline. So all the Jedi show up with the clones. Some war breaks out, and they follow the ships and find Dooku. They duel Dooku. And then Yoda comes in, fights Dooku. Dooku gets away. That's how the movie ends. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I don't know why it's so poorly rated among the community. I mean, yeah, like Anakin's acting in that, like a whiny teenager. But it's also, the memes. The prequels are where all the memes are at. Like the original, which is the I don't like sand. It's coarse and grainy and it gets everywhere. That was from Attack of the Clones. And then now you have the new one where it's the Anakin sitting on the grass with Padme, and she's like, right? And then Anakin just smiles and very creepily. I'm gonna put that as an A tier movie as well. I feel like people are gonna disagree already, but that's just my opinion. Revenge of the Sith is the last movie of the prequels. I believe at the beginning, that's where Anakin says this is where the fun begins, I think. Anakin and Obi-Wan fly through space, through a bunch of enemies into the bigger, I guess it's a, I don't know if it was a Star Destroyer, I don't remember, but it's a bigger ship, to go rescue Chancellor Palpatine, which at that point they did not know was actually behind everything. Dooku was there. Obi-Wan got knocked out. It was kind of sad. It was kind of just, Anakin versus Dooku, a rematch. And then that's when Anakin says something like, my powers have doubled since we last fought, or something. And on the internet, there's a meme that goes by Dooku replying, 0 times 2 is still 0. But, Dooku dies because Chancellor Palpatine was like, do it, even though it's not the Jedi way. I don't remember much about what happened after, but it was kind of just the Emperor, well, Chancellor Palpatine was kind of just slowly like pushing Anakin, like trying to get him to, wait, this is the movie that has the take a seat, right? Yeah, this is the movie that has take a seat. The prequels are filled with awesome memes. I love it. So Anakin's on the council, but he does not have the rank of a master, right? And then his dreams about Padme dying. Obi-Wan goes to deal with General Grievous. Grievous? Grievous? Is it Grievous or is it Grievous? Grievous, right? General Grievous. Anyways, and then Order 66. Wait, no, Order 66 happens. Okay, so Anakin goes to Mace Windu, saying that he suspects that the Chancellor may be a Sith Lord. So they told Anakin to stay there. Mace Windu took Kit Fisto, I think that's his name, and then two other Jedis that I don't know the name of because I'm not that well versed. They go to confront Chancellor Palpatine or Senator Palpatine, and Mace Windu replies, "Not yet." To which he replies, "It's treason." And then takes out a lightsaber, kills two Jedis instantly. Like, I feel like they didn't really do that scene very well, in my opinion. Mace Windu starts to fight back, pushes Chancellor to the edge of the building. Then you got some Force Lightning versus lightsaber action where Anakin comes in, and then Anakin's like, "Oh, you shouldn't kill him," and Mace Windu's like, "He's too dangerous to be left alive." And then Anakin's like, "It's not the Jedi way. I need him," or something like that. And before Mace Windu could finish him off, Anakin chops off his hand, and then the Emperor zaps. Less retelling and more analysis. I'm trying to live, like, remember everything to be able to put this on. And then Order 66, which was tragic. Younglings. Master Skywalker. There's too many of them. Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Padme dies. I think it was better than the Phantom Menace, actually. Like that. So far. Just because there's more death. Like a how do I don't really, it's difficult to, like, you have really good lightsaber duels. Oh right, Yoda versus Sidious. I didn't really like that fight that much, but Obi-Wan versus Anakin, you know, high ground. The birth of Vader, you know, that was already in danger zone. I'm telling you, okay, y'all gonna be offended. Right, you know what? Fine. Let's push that up for now. We'll have to move it later if necessary. Solo. I know a lot of people didn't like Solo. I personally quite enjoyed it. I feel like it told a decent story. It wasn't the story that we were looking for. Like, I wasn't curious about how, like, Han became Han, but, you know, like, watching it, I enjoyed it. I felt like it was good storytelling. It was fun, and I was captured. Like, the you know, what's that term called when you're focused, or when you're, it caught my attention. It had my attention throughout the movie. I wasn't bored. You know, like, it was fine. I'm gonna put Solo in A tier, actually. Captivated, right, captivated. I know that people will disagree with that, but you know, my list, my opinions. I recently just finished Kenobi. Like, it's been like less than a week since I finished Kenobi. There were a lot of dumb moments. Like, there were a lot of dumb moments. Those gates. The gates are like, ugh, I can't believe that Kenobi went out of the way to disable a laser gate just so they can walk through it when you can just walk around it. Like, there was 0 point in that. his powers, you know, I know that I like Kenobi. Like I would say probably, you know, I would say probably top 5 favorite like Star Wars characters, but he is not that powerful when it comes to the Force. So when he fought Vader, which I love the fight because I feel like we were robbed of that fight later on in, was it New Hope? It was a New Hope, right? Pretty sure it's a New Hope. Uh it felt like this was the fight that we've been wanting, like a rematch between Anakin and Kenobi, and it was, I like that fight, but I personally feel like it was way too exaggerated in terms of his force powers. He can definitely not outforce Vader like that. I didn't like. I'm gonna put it in B. I enjoyed it. Just there's a few things that I feel like they were not like they did not think it through when they did it. I also feel like they didn't elaborate and explore the things that they could have, like more of the Inquisitors. I feel it's just there's so much storytelling that they just kind of just skipped over, and I really wanted Kenobi versus Maul rematch, and I know that that was shown in, I believe, Rebels, but I haven't gotten to the animations yet. But I want a live action of Kenobi versus Maul rematch. Like the animation, I've seen the clip. It's so poetic, and they Kenobi needs a season 2. That's um. I was not able to finish Andor. It's the only series out of here that I have not seen, and I was on episode 2. I was on episode 2 and I kind of passed out because it was too slow for me, or I was just tired. I'm gonna put it as have not seen. You know, maybe next year on this day I'll have everything, like even the animated series as well. Rogue One. People keep talking about how good Rogue One is. I think it was good, but I don't think it was that good. It supposedly bridges between 3 and 4. It kind of explains how the rebels got the Death Star plans. Got some great characters, you know, but overall I just didn't feel like it was that good. Maybe people kept hyping it. Maybe the reason why I enjoyed, you know, Solo is because people keep saying how bad it was, so I didn't have much expectations. And then you watch Solo and you're like, you know what, this is pretty good. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Solo. Rogue One was good, but it wasn't like as good as people said it was. Really loved Donnie Yen's character. And what was the droid's name? I don't remember the droid's name in Rogue One, but that droid was pretty cool too. I'm gonna put Rogue One behind Kenobi, and I know this is already like people are gonna disagree with this because people didn't like Kenobi, but I enjoyed Kenobi, even though there were things I didn't like about it. Rogue One is like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't anything too special for me. All right, just, you know, chill. Everyone, just chill. Up next we have the original trilogy. You cannot place Kenobi and Rogue One in the same tier. I am sorry, I have spoken. A New Hope. So this was the original first ever Star Wars movie, right? And this was here's the thing. Back in Taiwan when I grew up, we would have these channels on the TV that would just play movies, and usually the older the movie, the more often it came up. And that's when I first saw A New Hope. And I didn't understand. Because my brother, you know, the thing is about kids is that kids will say things just to pretend they know things. They will pretend they know things because they don't want to admit that they don't know. So I don't remember what age I was, but I was like, is this like Star Wars? And then my brother was like, yeah, this is like the second one. And I was like, okay, but why does the second one look so old? Granted, at this time, you know, 456 was already out, but I didn't know, and I don't think he knew either. Or maybe he thought that A New Hope was like the 5th movie. I don't know, but he told me that it was quote unquote the second one. And when I heard that, I was like, that doesn't make sense. You know, you have Phantom Menace, which looks so clean, and then you have A New Hope, which looks so old. I didn't get it. Rewatching it, I actually think A New Hope was, let's see. So you're introduced to Luke. Luke goes on to find Ben, which is Kenobi. And what did they do? Ben teaches Luke how to use a lightsaber. They go into space. Oh wait, A New Hope is the plans, right? The Death Star plans. So Luke got the droids that had the plans. The Millennium Falcon got pulled in by the tractor beam of... Was it the Death Star that was pulling them? No, right? Oh, it is the Death Star, because I remember the line, that's no moon. So that's probably the Death Star. They escape the Death Star, they find out the plans, they go back, and they blow up the Death Star. You know what? I want to put it like high, or I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, because it's a classic. It's a classic, but I like clean graphics, I like clean, like the lightsaber fights. The story was fine. The lightsaber fights were kind of sad. I mean, back then they didn't have the technology, they didn't know what people wanted, and a lot of different reasons, but it was just not that good, in my opinion. Empire Strikes Back. So, is that Hoth? Empire Strikes Back is Hoth, right? You start off with Hoth. Like, I always get these two movies kind of mixed up. Is it Hoth into Bespin? Did I miss anything, right? They started with Hoth. The Empire finds them. They escape. They go to Bespin? I feel like I'm missing something. Am I missing something? Did they just go from Hoth to Bespin? And then that's the fight where Vader tells Luke that he is his father. Pretty sure that's Empire Strikes Back. I would put it in front of New Hope, actually. Maybe. I don't know which one I like more. Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. Where does it start? Oh, it starts when Leia goes to save Han at Jabba the Hutt's place. Is that Return of the Jedi? Or I think that's Return of the Jedi. And then they go to Endor to take down the shields. And then the final battle. Or so we thought at that time. I feel like it was okay. The tempo was a little bit weird in that movie. Also, I didn't like how his lightsaber was green in that movie. It was weird. You see, the technical issue, or the technical reasoning, is that blue was difficult to film during the Sarlacc pit area, right? Or not Sarlacc, whatever pit that is. Hello, thank you for the resub. Are you offended by this list? Because some people already are. I didn't like that they changed his lightsaber from blue to green. I personally like blue more than green. I understand that it was a filming thing, but then they just made his lightsaber green. I'm sure there's some story Um, I'm sure there's some story as to why his lightsaber is green, but I didn't like that. Like I feel like that was just I like blue, okay? Blue lightsaber makes sense. I understand that green lightsaber is the thing, but his lightsaber with not such colors out of nowhere is my opinion. I usually show smiles. All right, Mandalorian is the season. I just finished season 3 like last week. um I feel like if I put it anywhere outside of S tier, y'all would like hate. The real question is, I put Solo A tier. Yeah, I feel like okay. People kept telling me how bad Solo was, so that I didn't have any expectations. But when I watched it, I was like, this is good. I enjoyed this. Like we never asked for a Han Solo movie, but I feel like it does tell a good story. It tells you how he gets from, you know, where he started to where he was introduced in the 4th movie. That's why I feel like I enjoyed it a lot. I had like no problems with it. I was very, very captivated by that movie. So yeah, Mandalorian, I'm gonna put it in S tier. I don't know if it's better than Revenge of the Sith. I need to think about this real quick. Season 1 was great. I really enjoyed a lot of it. Like, you know, the thing about series is that sometimes it slows down, and that's fine. Season 2, I don't remember much actually. I don't remember much in season 2. Was Ahsoka in season 2? Ahsoka was in season 2, right? Meeting Luke was also in season 2. I liked how they keep getting like different actors into the series. I love that. Like they got like comedians like Bill Burr, you know, they got in season 3 they had Jack Black. Like I love these cameos. Yeah, you know what? I would probably put Mandalorian in front of Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I think I would. The Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if y'all agree, but personally, I think he's hella overrated. Especially in the original trilogy, who was very, very overrated in my opinion. I think it's okay. It's a little bit slow. I would actually put it like I would put it at the end of B tier. Like it's not a bad series. I think I need more tiers. True, true, true. Can I add row below? Your B tier is overrated. Okay, 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 okay. I'm just gonna move these down for now. Okay, we'll work on this. We'll work on this. All right. I don't think, for the record, okay, anything. I don't think anything here is particularly bad. I haven't returned. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I need to read. This was just added. The C tier was just added, so we need to fix that. I don't think Boba Fett was particularly bad. I don't think anything here is bad. I've watched everything aside from Endor, and I enjoyed most of it. Boba Fett to me was a little bit slow, so it's going to be on the later end. Return of the Jedi, I don't... Okay, so rescuing Luke and Han, and then the moon Endor, and then blowing up the second Death Star, right? That's the gist of Return of the Jedi, yeah? Is that... you know, I'm gonna do this. I don't know, because Return of the Jedi, like, it supposedly wraps up the original trilogy, but it kind of just... it doesn't hit. It doesn't hit for me. Alright, we'll adjust this as we go on. But next up, we have the sequels, the sequel trilogy, 7, 8, and 9. Force Awakens was okay. I did not find it anything too special. Like, I was never expecting another movie, you know, after 6. So it's nice that they gave it to us. But to me, it wasn't super memorable. You were introduced to Rey and what's the pilot of the X-Wing? I agree, it was more for fan service. The pilot that had an X-Wing. It starts with a P, right? Poe, right, Poe. I've always liked X-Wing as like a vehicle. I liked it. And I actually, among all the Lego Star Wars set, I have never owned a X-Wing in my entire life until I came across my B tier needs to be split into 3 tiers. I'll just shift something up and down. All right. I like I got the black X-Wing, and it is sealed up. It is sealed up, unopened, brand new, in a box in my garage. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I have a regular X-Wing as well. I was planning on holding them just to resell them because Lego is an investment. But yeah, I personally didn't find anything too special out of The Force Awakens. So you know what? Okay, if we're gonna, okay, we're just gonna push things that are at the end of B tier will just be pushed down. Okay, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Don't hate me. All right, The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi. I hate you. I like Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure you guys like Star Wars more than I do. By far. Okay, so my opinion is not the same. I liked The Last Jedi. I know people started hating sequels, but I liked The Last Jedi. There were some good fights. The like, it's very memorable for me, you know, like the cinematic Phantom Menace I've seen a lot. I've seen it like a lot. Maybe not as much as, I think out of all these movies, the one I've seen the most is New Hope. Definitely less than 500, dude. I don't think, there's no way you've seen it more than 500 times. Okay, Google. How long is The Phantom Menace? Two hours and 16 minutes. 2 hours and 16 minutes. Let's just say 2 hours. So 2 hours is 120 minutes. Okay. Okay, Google. What is 120 times 500? 60,000. Okay, Google. How many days is 60,000 minutes? No. 60,000 minutes. Okay, Google. How many hours is 60,000 minutes? 10,000, right? Yeah. 1,000. Okay, Google. What is 1,000 hours in days? "41 days of The Phantom Menace." There's no way you've seen that many times of The Phantom Menace. All movies combined, I'm probably over for the 500 viewing. Like, if you combine everything, yeah, but if it's just one single movie, there's no way. 500 is a big number. Last Jedi, I really like the scene near the end, you know, where all the on the salt fields. I feel like that was really beautiful. And the especially for Phantom Menace. You watched it 50 times in the year 2000 alone? Yeah, but you don't do that every year. I honestly don't think, like, over hundreds for sure. 500 to me is like, I don't see that happening. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. Um, but yeah, I like the last fight. I like how Kylo Ren was completely consumed by anger and rage and kind of just started blasting on the Force ghost, well, Force thing of Luke. You know what? I'll put that in B actually. I enjoyed The Last Jedi. More, yes, that's. I actually really enjoyed that scene. Okay, the Rise of Skywalker. Wait, did they kill Snoke in Last Jedi, or did they kill Snoke in Rise of Skywalker? I didn't. I feel like Snoke dying was so random. Like Last Jedi, I see, I see. It was just so like, you know, this is supposed to be, you know, like some mastermind, and he just dies, you know, like without putting much of a fight. Like, I feel like they really rushed that. Um, Rise of Skywalker. So I was actually able to avoid all, and when I mean all, I mean all the trailers, because when I want to watch a movie, I kind of just like avoid looking at the trailers because I don't like spoilers. And a lot of these days, the trailers like kind of give away a lot. So I was able to avoid Rise of Skywalker's trailer for like a lot. And then one day my brother is like, you know, I saw the movie, blah 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 blah. It's not bad, but I just don't like how they kept the Emperor alive. And I was like, the Emperor is alive? And he's like, oh, you didn't haven't watched it yet? And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, well, it's in the trailer. And I was like, I haven't seen the trailer. So yeah, you know, it was major spoilers that the Emperor is alive, which I also feel like was not the best of decisions. Um, you know, and I feel like at that point, the abilities of the Force was very blurry. It kind of felt like, you know, in Amazing Spider-Man 3, where Electro's abilities were kind of just brushed over. You don't really know what he can and can't do. It's kind of like, yeah, let's just let him do that. So the whole like passing, like reading a person's surrounding with the Force is already pushing it. You know, it kind of reminds me of like the occlumency from Harry Potter, but that's fine. And then there's the whole passing items through the Force, like that to me is like, okay, this is like way past like what I think is okay. So it's cool, but it's also so dumb if you think about it. It doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like they really shouldn't have done that. But you know, the fight was fine. The fight was fine. Um, the fight was fine. You know, but the thing is, all the newer movies have solid fights. But I really didn't like the ending, where it's like you have Rey and Ben fighting against the Emperor, and the Emperor is like zapping both of them like to the max, and then she starts to fight back, and the Emperor stops zapping. Like, hey, this works. I'm just gonna stop doing this. Like, that part is like, I really, yeah, yeah. Like it was the, like it's. I feel like it was like, it was weird. It was weird. Like like there's so much potential. You know, there's a lot of things I could have done correctly. Yeah, yeah. I feel like that was also really forced. I would have much rather have Rey be like a Kenobi rather than a Palpatine. It was weird. It was really weird. Like overall, I enjoyed it, but like now that I think back and I compare it to everything else, it's kind of like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's not as good as I thought it was. But yeah, this is my list for everything live action and cinematic. When I come back next year, I will have seen all the animated ones. It is visually very cool, and I feel like that's also done with technology being so advanced that I will always like fancy stuff and clean stuff. That's why, like, like the original trilogy, they're not bad, but if you compare it, like, yeah, they're classics, but I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, because they're classics, they're so good. No, they're classics, so I have respect for them, but because they are classics and they're old, they are outdated in my opinion. That's just me. Like, I would actually totally be fine. And I know that this is never gonna happen, but I would be fine if, say, they got the prequel casts to remake the original trilogy. Like, yeah, I understand that that's gonna cause so much hate and so much argument, but I want to see more of McGregor. Like, it's nice, like, and I want to see, like New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back like in with new technology. To be fair, the original trilogy actually advanced so much that, true, I do agree that they are way ahead of their time, but because of how fast technology improves and advances, it will still seem outdated when you put it side by side. Like, they are great for their time, but for my own personal, like, what I like, it would definitely fall shorter because, like, you think back about, say, Obi-Wan versus, or Ben versus Vader, like, that was such a slow fight. And I understand that was the first, technically the first Jedi versus Sith, like, lightsaber duel, but like, you look into like all the other ones and you're just like, okay, this can't even compare. Yeah, it was like, I actually, like, the reason why I enjoyed Kenobi's like last fight so much is because if I felt like it gave us the fight that we wanted to watch. Like, granted, Kenobi's force is definitely not on that level, but the lightsaber dueling part is like, yes, this is what I wanted to watch. But yeah, so I know I've offended a lot of people, but we'll come back to this list 1 year later. I will rewatch everything throughout, and next time when we visit, the animated series will be on this as well. I also prepared I pulled up another tier list. So this is just a bunch of Star Wars characters, and I have to list them. Now, I don't recognize a lot of these, I'll be honest. So I need y'all Star Wars experts to help. Alright, and this list is going to, like, massively... This is gonna massively offend people. I don't remember much of her. I don't even know her name. I know she's a Jedi Knight / Master. I don't know. She was killed during Order 66, I remember. I believe she was the one that was in love with one of the clone commanders. So she has some story. Let's put her in good. Okay, that's like a base middle line. Alright. Ahsoka, you know what? Ahsoka could be higher. Amazing for now. Alright. I know Ahsoka from the YouTube clips that I've seen of Clone Wars, her appearance in Mandalorian, her being Anakin's Padawan, the dual wielding. That's kind of all I know. This person that I felt like this person was really shady when I first saw this character. I felt, yeah. Wait, are you talking about the person I'm holding or Ahsoka? Because the person I'm holding, I felt like was super shady. Ahsoka, I see. I don't remember the person I'm holding, but I feel like she was super shady when I first saw her. But turns out she's not a bad person, so I'll put her in good. Anakin, a little bit too whiny for me. I still don't like her. Anakin is, supposedly the equivalent of Jesus in the Star Wars universe, right? Like, mostly because of the script, not really the character. Fair, fair, fair. I'll put Anakin in great. I feel like he's too whiny. Never really like I don't dislike him, but I don't like him all that much. Ventress, I never seen the Clone Wars. But from what I know, I guess I like her more than these two. So let's put Ventress there. I have no idea who this is. I believe this is part of the... Any animated one is probably from Clone Wars. This is one of the, from Rebels? I see. This is one of the races that can repair droids, right? And fixed up, was it 3PO? I forgot who they fixed up, but they're pretty great. Grogu. If I put Grogu anywhere outside of Goat, y'all would hate me, right? Grogu causes a lot of problems, for the record. Okay, Grogu causes a lot of problems. But I will put Baby Yoda in Goat. Okay, just because y'all would probably just stop watching if I don't put it there. I found out today that this Jedi was a terrorist and pinned it on Ahsoka, so that's a terrible person. I love battle droids, you know? Battle droids are great. Battle droids are great. Like, I love their Roger, and how they are very simple-minded. Dude has a really cool weapon from Rogue One. I'll put him in great. I don't really know too much. Like, I've seen Rogue One once. He did not stand out that much. We'll put him in good. Like, he's not, like, he's a good character, but he got kind of, in my opinion, because I've only seen Rogue One once, I feel like he got overshadowed. BB-8 is great. Rogue One, best spin-off movie. I like BB-8. Is this supposed to be the dude that took over Jabba the Hutt? Like his right-hand man? Magistrate? From Return? He's part of, like, Jabba's group, right? I think? Yeah. I don't like them. I feel like this sounds racist, but I just don't like how they look. I feel like that's really racist. Is that racist? That's racist, right? I'm allowed to not like... I don't know, they give off a very evil vibes. Wait, they're a Twi'lek? I could not tell that they were a Twi'lek. Boba Fett, overrated. Is this... Who is this supposed to be? This is definitely from the live series. I can't tell. Are they from Rogue? Oh, yeah, okay, they're good. The king of the Gungans. Very meh. I never understood how they were the king. Okay, so they're the king of the Gungans, so are they a Gungan? Like, are they the same race as Jar Jar? How does that work? Because they look almost nothing alike. I mean, okay, now that you look at it, you can kind of see some resemblance, but it looks so different. That. I believe this is a bounty hunter. I don't. That doesn't. Meh, very meh for me. 3PO I found to be quite annoying. I see. It was a group of bounty hunters when, like, there was a group, I remember. There was a group of bounty hunters. And to me, they don't really stand out. Yeah, I do remember that scene. 3PO is important, but I find him very annoying. We'll just put him in good for now. I feel like every time R2 has a great idea, 3PO is like, you shouldn't do that. I'm surprised that 3PO lived that long, or maybe it serves as like a comedic relief. But you know, it's just Cad Bane, is that his name? Bounty hunter, very ruthless. Appeared in Mandalorian and also the Clone Wars. I don't know too much about him. I feel like he's evil, and I'm not really a fan of evil, but he is cooler than the King of Gungans, I guess. Clone Wars Rebels first. True, true. Captain Phasma, highly, highly overrated. I don't see the appeal of Phasma. I don't understand why she was so popular. If someone can explain why she was popular, but I don't think there's anything too special. Super over, super underused. Yeah, I agree. She didn't have much lines in my opinion. Is this supposed to be okay? So I know that some of the captains of the clones have names. I don't know if this is this supposed to be Rex or is that Rex? I don't know. Oh, that's Rex. Okay, so there was one group of the clones that didn't have to do Order 66, right? Was that Rex's group or is that I never seen it, so I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put it here. I like the design. It's a cool helmet. You know what? They're cooler than Boba Fett. Um, we got the girl from the first Deadpool movie. It's pretty cool. Let's put them in great for now. Let's do that. Cassian from Endor. Oh, the 501st, which I know among, you know, Star Wars fans, that group is very popular. I don't know why. Because I'm not that into it, but like I'm into it, but I'm not. I never read into it. I never. Oh right, he was in Rogue One as well. You know what? I don't remember that much of him though. I really need to rewatch Rogue One, I think. Personal Legion and Commando Force. Oh, I see, I see. I will put him in good. I feel like he's done a lot, even though I don't remember much. Sidious. You know, I am not a fan of villains, but Sidious is honestly pretty done a pretty good job. The fact that they were in all 9 storyline wise, they were in all 9 movies. Even though he doesn't really make an appearance in some of them, but supposedly, even if you cut out, you know, him being in the sequels, he was still in 1 to 6. So for a villain to go for that long, I feel like that says something. You know, you gotta be a pretty good villain to live for that long. Chewbacca is great. Like Chewbacca. Alright, we got the Force. I am with the Force is with me. I'm putting him up here. Definitely biased towards Donnie Yen. I don't recognize this. I don't know. I don't know who this is. It looks like one of those astromech droids, but I don't know. I don't know. The droid from Rebels main character. Oh, I see, I see. Is this? Oh, this is Cody, right? I remember. Cody was the commander that shot down Obi-Wan. It's so mean. I mean, they didn't have much of a choice. They didn't have much of a choice. They had an inhibitor chip in them, so they had to do it. Even though it's not always a choice, according to one of the other clones. I don't remember which one said that it wasn't always a choice. Dooku, played by a great actor, underused, I think. You see him a little bit of 2, and then the beginning of 3, and that's it. You know, like he was the first instance of, like, if you watch it in like chronological order, Um, Dooku is the first user of Force Lightning in the movies, right? Because Sidious doesn't show up till 6, 5, and 6. 6. I don't know if Sidious was in. Sidious was not in 4, right? He was not in 4 last I checked. Um, Sidious not in 4. Darth Maul, very underperformed in terms of cinematics. I know Darth Maul played a much bigger role in the animated series. I'll put him in good. The first, technically, the villain was literally 4 lines. Maul was technically the first Sith villain I've ever came across. I just feel like the fight was really sad. Like, as much as I like Phantom Menace as a movie, I feel like that last fight at the end where Obi-Wan jumps up, cuts him in half, that was like, like what? Like, that was how? You're supposed to be a Sith Lord and you just died to a Padawan. Like, yeah, I understand that Obi-Wan is strong and all, and he's the main character for the most part, but like, I feel like that one was really robbed. Vader is the OG Sith Lord. I actually think Vader's not that great. True, arrogance did catch. Yeah, arrogance for sure caught Maul off. Vader, in my opinion, okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Vader is overrated. Vader in 456 is a little bit boring for me. Vader in Rogue One was very badass. I understand that he's half mechanical due to all the damage that has been inflicted on him on Geonosis. Wait, no, not Geonosis. On whatever that. What was that planet? That. What was the planet that they fought on? Anakin and Obi-Wan fought on that last. Oh, Mustafar. Right. Like, I feel like because he's so robotic, it makes him really overrated. Like, in the series, and like Kenobi, and you count Rogue One, definitely much better. But overall, if you look at 456, I feel like he's overrated. I don't know the name of this dude, but he played his role really well. He's very good at playing villains. Let's put him here. Like, he did a really good job in my opinion. I don't remember this. This guy is from, I want to say Rogue One. Oh, Codebreaker from Last Jedi. Right. The guy that like back like what's that called? Double agent. Right? I don't like him. I don't like people that betray people. You know what? Yeah. Oof. This is the dude from Solo. Also not a good person. Yes, there's villains and there's like bad villains. I have no idea who you are. I can tell you are a clone, but I'm not sure who. Can't tell. I have no idea who this is. Absolutely no idea who this is as well. I like how they put Palpatine and Sidious as two different characters. I'm gonna put them side by side just because I kind of put them as the same character. Like, I don't like Palpatine, but they did such a good job blending into society that no one found out that they were evil. And even when they did find out that he was evil, he still reigned the Empire for a very long time. Like that's called being a good villain. This was from Solo, and from my memory, she was pretty cool. I have no idea who this is. Probably one of those Jedi Masters. Kind of looks like Yoda. This is from Rebels, I think, but I don't really know much of that about them. Finn has so much potential, and then they kind of just ruined him. Like, he had so much potential in The Force Awakens, and then they just made him into like comedic relief after. I feel so bad for him. Yeah, like I feel like he had so much potential. Like, and canonically, that's the term, right? Supposedly he's Force sensitive, right? If I remember correctly. But they never really talked about that either. Supposedly, but it's not confirmed. I see. I have no idea who you are. I'm sorry. I have no idea who you are. Alright. You know, he's pretty dumb, but I love that he had 4 lightsabers. Like, I liked the general. And also, it gave us the beautiful hello there. General Kenobi. This is the spy, I believe, that helped. So, you know, good dude. Let's put him here. I have no idea who this is. They look like they are part of the Empire. I have no idea who this is. If someone could tell me who this is, that'd be helpful. But until then, I will put them in I don't know. I'm assuming this is just a gonk droid. Grand Moff from the sequels before Tarkin takes over. Okay, well I'll put them in meh just because they didn't give me, like, it did not make an impact for me. Gonk droid, you know what? I don't know what they do, but they're fine. You know, we'll put them there. Is this from a game? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let's put that. I have a little bit more memory of him, actually. I'm pretty sure he got choked by Vader. And then we got, is that Greedo? You may fire when ready. Oh, that's him. Ah, I see. Han shot first. I don't know if they changed it, but in the original movie, Han shot first. He wasn't anything too special. He was just there for that scene. He is a shooting fodder. We'll give him. Let's do it that. And we got the I don't remember his name. I just finished it. He was pretty cool. You know, he tried to kill. Well, he only tried to fight Mando because of the deal. He's not a bad person. Yeah, he's not a bad person. The magistrate, right? Is his name magistrate or grand magistrate? I don't remember his name. Thrawn? Is this Thrawn? Karga, right? The blue guy. I see. Han Solo is fine, but he's not a great person. He's very. I see. Han Solo is very, like, doing things for his own gain. Quite the selfish person, to be honest. Like, I feel like he had some character development, but through the series you can tell that he does things out of his own gain. Like, he won't do something that he does not gain anything out of. Nerf herder. I have no idea who this is. Kind of looks like a Jedi. Not sure who this is either. This droid was very badass. I mean, it was originally programmed to kill Grogu, but became one of the best defenders. I like him. I'm very bad with names. I'm very, very bad with names. IG88. Let's see. Jabba the Hutt is very meh. Actually, I would say terrible. I I I have not seen. I don't remember any like redeeming trait out of Jabba. Django. I feel like Django and Boba should be put side by side. I don't know which one's better. I do feel like Django is a little bit weaker. The way that Django died was kind of sad. Like sad as in not like sad as in I feel bad for them, but sad as in like come on. Django at least gets to play and shoot his gun. True. True. I think the reason why I put Boba higher than Django is because of the series that you kind of get more. But I do find Boba Fett to be one of the most like overrated characters of all time. The series does have a decent story for him, but before that it was pretty sad. I don't remember who this is. It looks familiar. Man, is this from Mandalorian? Last Jedi? Last Jedi. I'm trying to think. I have no memory of this person. I actually don't have any memory of this person. Jar Jar Binks on the planet with the remnants of the Death Star. I'm trying to remember, but I really don't have much memory of it. Jar Jar Binks is not a very good character that was made. And then there's also the theory of Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord. I guess that makes them slightly... I'll put Jar Jar Binks on the top of the terrible list. Rogue One, female lead. I don't remember that much, but I do like her more than these people. There. Oh, I don't remember this droid's name, but this droid is legendary. Wait, what's his name? I have no idea the droid's name. I'm really bad with names. He was a good droid. No idea who this is. This is a Jedi master named there's an Ali Mund. I don't quite like them. I mean, they are a Jedi master, but we got Kit, which lasted slightly longer than the other Jedis, but like I know they're supposed to be strong, but they're just their cinematic demonstration was kind of very like underwhelming. Not as bad as the other two Jedis that were with them at that time, but I have spoken. Really like this character. We got Ben, Kylo Ren. You know, they weren't not likable, but they weren't super likable either. One of the most popular characters to have in 4 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that fight was just not very good. I have no idea which droid this is. I don't remember which movie this droid's from. And then we got Lando, is that his name? This is from Solo? Could... Oh! Is that Lando's droid? Okay. She's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. I need to push some of these. Can you guys tell that I prefer droids over people? Droids are just cool. Lando as like... He's meh. Like he's had some... Like he's not a bad person. You know what? Let's put Lando here. But like overall, he's not a very good friend. Luke was... I would put Luke in good. I don't think Luke is great in my opinion. From my growing up, you know, when you grow up and you watch all these things, if you don't watch it enough, you get these pieces, glimpses and pieces of like memories. And all I can remember is Luke being really whiny. But think about it, technically, you know, like father, like son, Anakin was hella whiny. I feel like Luke is only in good because it was like in the original trilogy. If Luke was introduced in today's technology, it would probably be a lot more different. You know what? I'm pushing Luke up. Yeah, I'm pushing Luke up. A Jedi Master that I don't know much about. Mace Windu with a purple lightsaber. It's gotta be legendary because he's got a purple lightsaber. Okay, you know, the only Jedi to have a purple lightsaber. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure there's some Jedi that has a purple lightsaber. But cinematically, the only lightsaber wielder that's purple. We got Din Djarin. Put him in GOAT. That's just for him. Not the best fighter, but he's a very likable person. Definitely high up there. This is supposed to be the person that told Rey what to do, I think. Let's put them here. We are okay. We're gonna run through these. Okay, if I don't know, is this supposed to be an Inquisitor? It looks like an Inquisitor. Gonna like run through some of these, especially the ones that if I don't... Oh, there's also... Okay, so they did split some of these. So I'm gonna push original Luke back down, and I'll bring old Luke up to here. It's hard to say. I will skip the ones that I don't know. This guy's terrible. He's just evil. That the Rancor? This is the Rancor, right? I don't know who this is. These things are kind of annoying. I'm gonna put them in here. I believe this is Maul's brother or related to Maul in some way. There's Savage. Snoke. Savage is his name. Oh, I see. Snoke was super underwhelming, to be honest. Like, I feel like they could have done so much with him and kind of just died. Like, there was nothing too special about him. Is this the wife of this dude? He's from Solo, right? Solo, and this is the wife, I think. Woody Harrelson's pretty cool. I'll give him a good. I'm sorry, 3PO was just kind of annoying to me. Um, she was aight. Like, she's cool, but just nothing, like, doesn't really stand out for me. I have no idea who this is. Is this supposed to be... I mean, I see the dark saber. Is this supposed to be, what's her name? I don't remember her name, but the, is this supposed to be the same? Are these two people? They're different. They're definitely different. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna leave that there. Let's see. Satine? Is that her name? I don't know who that is. I'm just gonna like remove all the ones I don't know, so it will save me time. Huh. I have no idea who a lot of these people are. That's definitely an Inquisitor. You know what? They're meh. I have no idea who you are. I have no idea who you are. I know who they are, but only because of Mandalorian. I have no idea who these Sith Lords are, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Okay, no shade. I just don't know who they are. No idea who that is. I've never played any... I haven't played any of the Star Wars games outside of Battlefront and Jedi Knight Academy. So like I said, you know, I like Star Wars, but not as much as you guys do. That's Dex. Dex is chill. I have no idea who that is. Very minor character I don't care about. Put them in meh. Don't know who this is. Don't know who that is. Is this part of Bad Batch? I never watched the animated ones yet, so I have to. This is the Force Unleashed dude, right? I think. I have no idea who this is. I can't tell who they are. Hello, Koala. Long time no see. I have no idea who you are. I have no idea who you are. I feel like I should know some of these, but I really don't. I really don't. I have no Oh, hey, look, purple lightsaber. There. From a game, I'm assuming. This is from Endor, I think. I really don't like this dude. Okay, so I've only seen like 1.5 episodes of Endor, and I really don't like this dude. We're gonna put him there. Not 4 years. It's all good. I still appreciate it. Don't know enough. He's pretty cool, but I don't know enough. But yeah, who's this? I can't. Doesn't really come to mind. I don't really like Haja. Was that his name? Haja? Like they're meh. Like they have some redeeming traits, but like they also are a pathological liar. I have no idea who you are. I'm sure a lot of these are from Endor. He's pretty cool. Obi-Wan is legendary. High legendary. Is this supposed to be the doctor? Obi-Wan goat? Alright, fine, that's fair. I'm assuming this is the doctor, right? I feel bad for him. I think like he's not a bad person. put him here. Let's see. I have no idea who these people are. I feel like they look kind of familiar, but only because that actor is familiar. Alright, okay. Now the rest are the people that I actually know. We got Viceroy, which I feel very meh about. I don't feel like Viceroy is anything too special. We got OG Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, he's great, but I'll put him in good. I feel like he really didn't do much. Old Solo, way more likable than new Solo. I like old Solo way more than new Solo. Too bad he was killed off like really quickly. They couldn't afford him, he's too expensive. Old Lando is aight. It's more likable than new Lando. They didn't want to do it anymore. True. Let's put him here. And then we got old Leia, or force sensitive Leia, which I feel like was, I mean, yeah, I understand that she's force sensitive, but the whole like flying back into space was a little bit much for me. Yeah, there. That seems like a good spot. Padme didn't do much in the entire series, did she? I feel like Padme is meh. She dies sad. She is the embodiment of the new generation. You know what? Just for that, I will put Padme higher. Put Padme here. So, for those that don't know, Plo Koon is actually my favorite like Jedi master of all time. This ties into nostalgia for quite a bit because the first Star Wars game I've ever played, it was on the PlayStation 2, I believe. You could select Plo Koon, and Plo Koon actually had a yellow lightsaber in that game. And y'all know it's all about the uniqueness of the colors. You gotta have a yellow lightsaber. I don't like how they gave him blue lightsaber in the films, but in the storylines and the comics, he's had different colored lightsabers. One of the coolest things about Plo Koon is that he can actually breathe in space for a little bit with it because of his mask. This was actually shown in the Clone Wars animated series, and they killed him off during Execute Order 66 when he died in a starfighter, which is kind of like he's too strong to be killed on land, so let's just like blast him out of a plane. I feel like he was robbed. Poe is pretty cool. Gave Finn his name. I'm gonna put Poe here. Original Princess Leia, I find her kind of annoying. Not like 3PO annoying, but like I would argue like that actually. Minor character, Han Solo's first love interest. Kind of meh, I guess. Supposedly she has more stories involved, just not shown in the movie. Qui-Gon, I feel like Qui-Gon's potential also got robbed. Like a Jedi Master that died in the first movie. I don't like her because she looks nice. She does look really fine though. Like Qui-Gon is cool, but like you don't get much of Qui-Gon. Like if they ever made a series about Qui-Gon, like if they made a series before the prequels, that'd be pretty cool. I would be interested. R2-D2, Qui-Gon is good, but like he just got killed off, and I just feel like there was so much more. It gave I feel about Qui-Gon the same I feel about Darth Maul. Liam Neeson bias. I know, right? He trained Obi-Wan. He trained Batman, you know, and you want to kidnap his daughter? That's not going to work. R2D2 single-handedly saved the galaxy. Kind of amazing. Really don't care. Like, I guess a little bit has a little bit more than Snoke. Rey, I feel like Rey is good. She's not amazing. I actually, mm, let's put Rey here. Put Rey here. I don't remember much. He's from Mandalorian, I believe. He's pretty cool. He's got a good sense of humor. I didn't like her. I know she's from the sequels. I didn't really like her that much. This is supposed to be Obi-Wan's love interest, right? I don't really know much about them, but I think that's Obi-Wan's love interest. Rose is another Polygon character. Yeah, I agree. Anakin's mother. Eh, yeah, like you know what? Without Anakin, oh, that's the team. Yes. Without Anakin's mother, you know, Anakin probably wouldn't have turned to the dark side. So we'll give her credit where it's due. Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers. I don't care. Like they're cool, I guess. They're not very. They hit they hit their targets when they're needed to hit targets. They don't hit their targets when they're not supposed to hit the targets. I don't feel like there's anything too special about them. The ice monster that was just trying to live a peaceful life, but Luke's like, nope. I guess they're chill. No pun intended. I don't like this dude. It's terrible. Put him here. Ewoks. I feel like Ewoks are annoying. I don't find the appeal to Ewoks. Like I understand that, you know, Endor is like their home. But I don't see the like I don't I don't hate them, but I don't like them kind of deal. Yoda. Let's put Yoda up here. Um This is not General Ewoks. This is a Wicket. That's a Wicket? Oh, like wait. Oh, it's like a named Ewok. Which Ewok is it? Wait, where did I put? Okay, well we'll give them a little bit more. Is it it's the at the main Ewok? Okay, okay, sure. We'll give them a little higher ranking. Okay, I absolutely hated Kid Boba Fett. Like he was so annoying. Um I remember his lines in Clone Wars like "Get him, Dad" or something like that. Like it was weird. I didn't like it. And the like that like bratty kid laugh. Yeah, I really did not like that. You know what? I'm putting them in terrible. That just to prove a point. Is that young Han Solo? They're meh. Like they're not bad, but I feel like Solo's appeal for me wasn't actually Solo, but just the entire story as a whole. I feel like Solo as a character is very normal. I'm trying to find where original trilogy Solo is. Where should I put original trilogy Solo? Oh, right here. I guess I can push him a little higher. There? Yeah. I enjoyed his depiction of Lando. I first watched him in Community. Yeah, I actually liked him than more than the original Lando. He did a really good like depiction of like Lando at that age, in my opinion. I'm gonna put him here. I feel like this character was also very underused. This character was from... Was this character from sequels or is she from Solo? I don't remember. From Power Rangers. um, but yeah, I feel like she was also underused, so I'm gonna put her in meh. Don't even remember her name. We got the droid from this dude, Fallen Order, I think. I think he's pretty cool. I'll put him in the end of great. I never played Fallen Order. I heard it's a good game. So I will have to put you in I don't know. I have no idea who this is. This is from Rogue One. But I don't remember much of this character, so I'm gonna put him in. Oh, that's Saul. I see, I see. I don't have much memory of him. It's a trap! Just for saying that, we're gonna put him in the end of good. That's the only thing I know about Akbar. Akbar? I think, right? General Akbar? The supposedly leader of the Mandalorians. She's okay. Like, not bad, yes. And we got the adoptive father of Leia, I think. He's meh. You don't really get much of a develop. Like, well, actually, he's a pretty cool father. You know, we'll push him to good. All right, Organas. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. Is this Luke's aunt? I believe. I feel like there wasn't enough. I think I need to rewatch it, but in my memory, there wasn't a lot of like character development for her. And then the sheriff. I liked him. He was pretty cool. The Enzo Cestos. And then we got the uncle. I don't like him. He kept denying, you know, like he didn't want Luke to leave, which I understand. It's like you want to protect him, but like you don't protect someone from that kind of stuff. I don't care / don't know about this. I know this is one of the people that you see in, I believe, Revenge of the Sith or Geonosis. One of them. Probably part of like the trades people's Attack of the Clones. Right. I have no idea who this is. Who is this pilot? I will put Wedge. I do not know of this Wedge. We got Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand. You know what? She's a pretty cool character. Let's put her in good. It's Wedge. Oh, I see. I don't have enough memory of them though. I like this frog lady, but they cause so much problems. That's kind of like, I'll put them in meh. They cause too much problems. Bill Burr, not a very good person. I'm putting him in meh. I like them a little bit more just because I know he's a comedian. But Moff Gideon, this dude is just evil. Well made character, but like really, really evil. I don't like them very much. Like when you want to, oh yeah, for sure, definitely did an excellent job portraying the character, but like it's just evil. Like you want, I want to put him like Sidious level evil, but also like who would kidnap a baby? You know, like that to me is like evil. Yeah, I'll put them in good. I'll put them in good. They got charm. I don't remember her name, but she was the one that built Mando's current ship. She's pretty cool. Let's put her here. I feel like I should shift some of these. Uh, we got the other Wookiee that helped. Super buff. Pretty badass. Then we got third sister, which I feel like should have been explored more. And it never really, I never really understood why a lot of the things she did what she did. So I'm gonna put her in meh. She does have a little bit more personality, so maybe here. Then we got the two Mandalorians. I didn't like this dude. It felt like he was always trying to pick on things. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he was nice. She's a reason. Like, I understand where this dude comes from, but I find him quite annoying, honestly. And then we got the armor, which I quite like the armor. I'm gonna put armor in amazing. Alright. We've been at this for quite a very, very long time. So I think this is a good, like, I don't want to spend more time on this. There's a lot of people under the good category. I'm not mad at that list. I I will watch the animated series and, you know, get back to it. All right. So it is currently 9:20. Better than the previous one. There's still plenty of time, so we're going to jump into a very old game called Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. Oh, it's loud, it's loud. Hold on. Okay, let me just put that away. And then going to change the category. Jedi Academy. An old but classic game. Let me just quickly fix up the audio level is so loud. Ow. Okay. I think that's better. Yeah. All right. We playing at the Jedi Master level and see how far we can go. I honestly don't know how far I can go with this. Let's see. Keldor, Rodian, Twi'lek, Zabrak, human. Let's go for a human. Not a lot of options. Not a lot of options to choose from here. Torso. That doesn't look very Jedi-y. Let's go for the I don't know how I feel about this. I'm gonna go with this one just because. Really? Let's go with this one. Legs. Alright, good enough. Good enough? Good enough. Actually, I don't really like the torso that much. I don't know. These both look weird. Alright, I'm going with this one. Got that yellow lightsaber. I know that you can choose other things later, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. Alright, let's begin. I wonder if this is copyrighted. I feel like this is copyrighted. Yikes. It is what it is. It is what it is. Nerd. Are any of the games canon? Jaden Core, a promising student from Coruscant, is en route to the academy after achieving the impossible, creating a lightsaber without any formal Jedi training. Not anymore. I apologize if this game looks really. Only canon ones are Fallen Order and Survivor? Oh, I see. This game is really old, so the graphics are a little bit outdated.
We'll be arriving at the academy in just a few minutes.
That would be so great.
I also don't know why it's flickering.
Aren't you excited? We're going to be Jedi.
Dude, get out of
Learning
my
the ways
face.
Of the Force, building a lightsaber. Ah, of course, you already have one.
Why is it flashing?
I'm gonna get one of those stupid training sabers.
I wouldn't worry about that.
I can't help it. I want to make a good impression.
You seem really nervous.
Why does it
Why
keep
would
flashing?
You be? You already have a lightsaber.
I'm so sorry.
you're
If this
probably
is
way ahead of
causing
me.
epilepsy, I am
I'm
so
Rosh,
sorry.
by the way. What's your name?
Jaden.
Dude,
So
can't
where'd
you
you get that
tell I don't
lightsaber?
want to talk?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I found myself on...
Hold on!
Modern drivers can't handle it. Yikes, we're getting shot down.
Academy to Yavin Runner 2. Do you copy?
Loud and clear. We made an emergency landing several clicks west of the
Hey,
academy.
let's look.
Is everyone all right?
I think so.
Good. We'll send a shuttle to pick you up. Can you lead the students to the nearby Masasi Temple?
Affirmative, Academy. We'll meet you there.
Who's this shady looking spy? Question mark? Slywalk animation. Force jump, you know?
Jaden, we can't get to you. Make your way to the temple. The shuttle will meet us there.
Jaden, hey! I'm stuck. Can you help?
How are you
Hold on, Rosh.
stuck?
I'm on my way.
How are you stuck?
Jaden, see if you can make your way around there.
I don't understand. Okay, this looks like a dead end. Wait, if I touch fire, will I take damage? I don't take... Oh, I do. Oh, okay, okay. I was wondering, I was like, oh, am I fireproof? What is this? Instant use med pack. Okay, as I healed up, I guess. Okay, there seems to be an invisible wall here. Like, why are you stuck, dude? Like, come down, the water is fine. You know, like, if you just jump, you don't take damage. Why are you stuck?
Maybe you can use your lightsaber to cut those trees down and make a bridge.
What, you don't want to get your feet wet?
Thanks, Jaden. Let's get to the temple.
Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Okay, so I'm not supposed to kill my classmates. Got it. I feel like my character is like face palming from what I just did. Also, okay. Alright.
See if you can make your way around there.
Shush. Okay, I got it.
Maybe you can use your lightsaber to cut those trees
Shush,
down
I
and make a
get
bridge.
it.
Thanks, Jaden. Let's get to the temple.
Where is the temple? What are those?
Howlers.
Howlers? Howlers?
These howlers make good target practice, eh, Jaden?
Oh wait, they're still alive. And I just died? Okay, maybe playing on Jedi Master was a little bit more tricky than I thought. Alright.
See if you can make your way around there.
Okay, so we gotta kill it
Maybe you
before
can use your lightsaber to cut those trees down and make a bridge.
we gotta kill it before it starts.
Thanks, Jaden. Let's get to the temple.
I can't even attack it. Can I like get some distance? Is it dead? Right click to throw lightsaber. Ooh. Okay. I really gotta stop killing my classmate.
Jaden, see if you can make your way around there.
Can I like...
Maybe you can use your lightsaber to cut those trees down and make a bridge.
Can I throw my lightsaber for this? Oh, I can. Okay, cool. Rerun!
Thanks, Jaden. Let's get to the temple.
Not doing much. God, the hitbox is weird. This is the temple.
There must be a way to open this.
No problem.
Checkpoint. Lightsabers don't do damage when they return. Only on the way in. I see. I didn't do anything. Is it dead? I think it's dead. Aim lower. Okay, I'll try that.
Hey, maybe you can use your saber to make another bridge.
I just...
Let's go.
I am very good at this game. I don't think the human body is supposed to bend that way. So, how's everyone doing tonight? The loading, eh? Press escape to load. Can all trees be cut down? No. Only the special ones can be cut down, I'm assuming. I feel like I would cut him by accident if I'm not careful, and that would just cause me to start over. Okay, so we're gonna jump over here.
Hey, maybe you can use
We're
your
gonna
saber
cut
to
it
make
from
another
this
bridge.
side.
Great, let's go.
There we go. Timber! Is it dead? I think it's dead. I don't think my saber throw kills things. Except for my classmate.
Gene, get down! There's stormtroopers in the clearing. Maybe you should, check it out. You're the one with the lightsaber, after all.
Wait.
There's no escape.
Wait, what? Okay, whoa. Is there no other load?
Watch out!
What the cut? Oh my gosh. We can beat this level, okay? I can beat this level. We can beat this level.
Hey, watch it!
You watch it. Don't stand in the way of my cutting path, okay?
Hey, maybe you can use your saber to make it great. Let's go.
Wait, how did I die? How did you die? How did they die? I don't understand.
Watch out!
I don't understand how they died. That they weren't even in the way of the tree, right? I don't think throwing my lightsaber works.
Watch out!
Alright.
Hey, maybe you can use your saber to make another
Maybe you
bridge.
can not die?
Great, let's go.
Okay, we're good, we're good, we're good. Moving on, moving on. Yeah, I'm convinced that throwing this does not do anything. I feel like he's shooting at me, but I can't prove it. Unskippable cutscenes,
Gene,
you know?
get down! There's stormtroopers in the clearing. Maybe you should, check it out. You're the one with the lightsaber, after all.
Hey. It really can't hit anything, eh? How do I block? Do I need to go down and fight you?
Let's see what you've got.
I'm taking a lot of damage.
What?
Smooth. So smooth.
Huh? What? Who are you?
Kyle Katarn, at your service. Welcome to a day in the life of a Jedi.
What happened?
We were kind of hoping you could tell us.
I saw a huge flash of light and ran over to find you, just lying unconscious.
Do you recall anything?
I saw 3 people. One was holding some sort of scepter and it was glowing. That's all I can remember.
A scepter? That sounds bad.
Are you able to stand?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I sense a disturbance in the Force.
You always sense a disturbance in the Force. But yeah, I sense it too. It could just be residual dark side aura from this temple.
Perhaps. Kyle, why don't you...
Stay here and investigate? I'd love to. Why don't you take the kids back home now?
Be careful, Kyle. Everyone, follow me to the shuttle.
I think that was Luke Skywalker. I can't believe it.
Why can't you believe it? Well, we beat the first level, I think.
Did you recover Skywalker's records? Yes. With all the Jedi in the jungle, it was almost too easy. Excellent.
I'd like to welcome all our new students to the Jedi Academy. Here we will train you in the ways of the Force. You will learn to defend yourself with a lightsaber. You will also study diplomacy, history, and more. It has been the practice of the Jedi to assign each student to a master. However, since there are still so few of us, we will be assigning multiple students to one master. So, Routheron, you will be assigned to Master Horn.
I can't wait to begin my training.
Rosh Panin, you will be assigned to Master Katarn. Jaden Kor, you'll also work with Master Katarn. Now, let's begin with your first lessons, and may the Force be with you.
And there was nothing. But the area around the temple felt strange, like its dark side aura was gone.
Troubling. But let's look into this later. Your students are ready to get started.
Master Katarn, it's an honor to be serving under you.
First off, just call me Kyle. Titles make my skin crawl. Secondly, you're not serving under me. I'm going to teach you, and you're going to learn. That's it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
Don't worry, Rosh. You didn't. I've been offended by professionals. Now, let's see what you 2 kids can do. Follow me to the training grounds.
It seems like... Did I lose my lightsaber? Oh no, I still have my lightsaber. Can I kill...
This is one of the many training grounds here at the Academy.
Oh!
I'm going to put you 2 in separate courses. When you're ready, Jaden, go through that door. Rosh, follow me.
This door? Why is this... Wait.
This course will familiarize you with your core Force abilities. These are powers that every Force user has. As you progress in your training, you will learn new abilities. Both the light and dark sides will be open to you. Remember, abilities are not inherently good or evil. It's how you use them. Every Jedi is naturally stronger in different areas of the Force, and it will be up to you to decide what to focus on. All right, let's get started. In the next area, you'll find some training remotes. These will help you learn how to handle a lightsaber. Ready?
Ready?
Ready.
Open sesame? Oh.
Here come the remotes.
Done!
Nice work, Rush.
You did well too, Jaden. Your lightsaber is an invaluable tool. Even when inactive, it can defuse a potentially volatile situation. Trust me on that. As you train, you'll learn additional fighting styles. Changing styles during combat can surprise your opponent, allowing you to gain the upper hand. From here on out, we'll talk via comlink in each area. Let's move on.
Force pull slash. Medium attack kata. Mouse 1 and mouse 2. Wait, mouse... What? But whenever I mouse 2, it just throws my lightsaber.
Okay, Jaden. You need to use the Force to jump across the ravine. It shouldn't be a problem. If you fall, jump back up to the bridge and try again.
How do I jump? I just... Oh, that's how I jump? That wasn't too bad.
You'll have to use push to get out of here and into the next area.
How do I... Oh! I see. They don't
Hey,
really...
Jaden, this should keep you busy till I finish the course.
Wait. What you do? Did you just summon a droid for me to fight?
What took you so long, Jaden?
Nothing.
You're sure?
It was nothing.
To get to the next area, you must pull a lever somewhere in the room. But you can't reach the lever with your hands. Remember to examine your environment carefully. When you're out on a mission, if you find a locked door, look for the guy in charge. He usually has a key.
Okay, let's see. So... It looks like a lever.
Solutions to problems aren't always obvious. Use your Force sense to see if you can find a way out of the room.
Anything here? Okay. At least the rocks don't retract back. Oh my gosh. Wonky platformers. This is great. Whole lot of nothing. How do I know this is
You're
the
almost
right way?
done. You'll need to move fast in this next area. You can use the Force to speed up, both physically
So, did I win?
It wasn't a competition.
I'm sorry,
I'm not the one you should be apologizing to.
It's no big deal. You said yourself this wasn't a competition.
Hey, it was just a joke. I didn't think it would...
If that droid was set to Luke's training regimen, it would have killed Jaden. What were you thinking?
Jaden, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I mean, I wasn't trying.
Save it, Rosh.
Jaden, you have a right to be angry. But believe me when I say you don't want to feed that emotion.
I understand, Master Katarn. Apology accepted, Rosh.
Good, that's settled. And remember, it's Kyle?
Yes, Kyle.
Sure thing, Kyle.
Okay. You're both ready to start putting what you've learned to use. Let's see how you do in the real world.
You just push him off.
Kyle, I did some research on that strange mark from the clothing we found at the temple. It is the symbol of Marka Ragnos, a Sith Lord that died almost 5,000 years ago.
5,000 years? Are you serious? Oh, wait. Of course you're serious.
While you're out training your students, be on the lookout for information regarding a group affiliated with Ragnos.
Sure thing, Luke.
We receive countless requests for assistance from all over the galaxy. Since we believe in learning by doing at the Academy, students of all levels help with these requests. Since you're an initiate, however, Kyle will travel with you on most of your missions in order to instruct you and ensure your safety.
I see, I see. Wait, can I do any of these? Does anyone have a preference? Mercenary activity on Tatooine, droid recovery on Tatooine, emergency assistance on Bakura, merchant rescue on Blengil, whole investigation on Corellia. Bakura? Alright.
Kyle is currently away from the Academy, but he will meet you on Bakura. Then the two of you can investigate the station. Be sure to wait for him before you do anything.
Select a force power. These are not the droids you're looking for. Force protection. I feel like force heal is important. Force jump. We already have that. Push, pull, offense. Lightsaber throw. Lightsaber offense? Defense. I'm gonna go with heal. Just because... it's better to... I'm going with heal because I'm playing on the highest difficulty, so I feel like it would be safer.
Where are you, Kyle? I've been waiting here forever.
Oh, it's the next wing.
Well, I can't wait around. I've got to do something.
Oh, no. Your orders are to wait, man. This guy's acting like Anakin. Okay, Wookiee bowcaster, nice. Alright, I'm assuming we just go in the front door and just kill everything that moves. There's no objectives. Gotta cut through things. Sounds a little bit like... Alright, we gotta... Seems like there's something in here that we don't see, so we're gonna use our force sense. Nothing? Oh.
They're going to blow the whole installation. I have to stop that countdown.
We have an intruder. Take positions.
Hey, come back. Don't run. Why are you running? Why are you run? Oh, whoa, did I just decapitate him?
It's the Empire.
Do I die if I touch this? Oh, okay. I do die if I touch that. Alright, let's be more
Where are
careful.
you, Kyle? I've been waiting here forever.
That was kind of
Can't
rough,
wait
to be
around.
honest.
I've got to do something.
Alright. I feel like force speed just slows down everything around me. So we look through here.
They're going to blow the whole installation. I have to stop that countdown. We have an intruder. Take positions.
Open up. What's up?
No wonder I was supposed to wait for Kyle. It's the Empire.
You think you can be invisible? Nice try. Okay, so earlier when I walked through that laser, I died. What if I shot at it? Oh! Hey! It's like a secret area?
Okay, 4 more to go.
Can I force jump my way through this? Oh, wait, where am I going? Okay, I don't know if this is the right place to go. I feel like this is not the right place to go, but they brought me down here for a reason, and I don't know what the reason is. Why am I down here? Okay, I think we need to go back in. Okay, there's definitely something somewhere. Ow. Do I activate anything? Does deactivate anything? I have no idea what I just did. Yikes. Wait. How am I taking damage? Oh, am I getting crushed? I tried to... Ooh. What? I can't even deflect that? Very unfortunate.
He won't be giving us any more trouble.
Oh, really? So uncivilized. What is this? I really don't know what this is supposed to do. I honestly don't know what that is supposed to do. Need a security key? Is there a key somewhere? Can I walk past this? I don't know if I can walk past this. Okay, I can't walk past this. This is not an easy game. Again, I don't really know what this does. Doesn't tell me anything. Got a heavy repeater. Alright, we're gonna parkour through this hazardous area. Orange restores ammo. I see, I see. Boom. No boom? Oh, cleared it. Okay, cool. Cool. What do I... Man, I don't even know how to clear that. Okay, how do I clear this without dying? Okay, I can't clear that. I'm gonna clear this. Clear that. Okay. Oh, I'm sitting on like no health right now. I have shields, I believe. Those are shields, right? What is this? Okay, I have a little bit of health. Just a tad bit. These blasters are not very accurate.
Three more.
They're dead, right? Yeah, they're dead. Okay. Alright, okay. Time to head to the door that was previously locked. Now that we have a key.
Hold it right there.
Hold what right? Where? Why are there people here? Oh. Okay. Can I get more shields? No, I'm out of shields. That's great. Okay, I am still alive. Go this way. Cleared out the enemies here earlier. Oh, got some extra shields. That's good. Let's go left from here.
Hey, you! Over there!
I'm too fast, bruh. Just just gonna run through and kill everything. Seems to be the easiest way, right?
Did you hear something?
Gosh. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going with my mission because... Okay, you wanna play? Let's play. You could have lived, just so you know. You could have lived.
Just 2 more left.
I don't even know where they are. I'm assuming this way might be leading to some of them. I don't. What is that? Is that one of them? Oh, it's ammo. It's shields, I believe. Okay, we got some shields. Shields are good. You can force pull weapons from enemies and make them drop their guns. Ooh, good to know. I will try that next time. Guess I can't go up from here. I'll have to parkour my way. Make a new Jedi Academy. Oh, that's a little brutal. I just killed a defenseless person. I mean... Like, I get it. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Checkpoint. How is this not hitting them? Oops. Okay. Let's not do that again. Okay, good to know that some weapons just don't do damage.
Only 1 more.
I don't know where the last one is. $69. Going back up. How do I... Give me that med kit. I want that med kit. That's okay. I'm sitting on 48 HP. Oh, I think this is how you're supposed to do it. There we go. Alright. Let's go back and find that last one. I have no idea where it is. I'm assuming I just need to keep going deeper. Where are you going? There we go. That's the last one.
That does it. Better get back to my ship.
Okay, so I have to head back. Gotta get back. Let's do Force speed. No, no! I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm still alive. Force heal. Oh wow, that takes a lot. Okay. You know what? Good enough. Let's go. I feel like I don't have a lot of health left. Where do I go from here? Okay, I'm gonna force heal myself so I don't have to die again. Okay. So fast, you can't catch me. Is that a mouse droid? Okay. Don't sneak up on me. Alright, we gotta get through this place, so let's heal up again. Okay. Now! Okay, maybe not. I don't have much health. I have no shields. I have a little bit of health. Okay. We have all the health in the world, but no shields. Did I get hit? I feel like I got hit. I need shields. Give me shields. We're doing good. We're doing good. More shields. Perfect. We're good? We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I feel like I don't really need to go there, but I kind of want to go there. Just for ammo. For ammo that I'm not even using. Alright, let's get back to the ship. Let's get back to the ship. Oh wait, that was stab. We're good. We're good. All right, I made it back to the ship. That wasn't too bad. We only died like what, 10
Sorry
times?
I never made it to Bakura. seem to handle yourself okay, though.
Secret areas found 0 out of 5. Yeah,
I've been
definitely.
looking into the shuttle crash, and it doesn't look like laser damage or a mechanical failure was responsible. It's almost as if something just tore apart the engines.
I see. Alright, well, it is almost 10:30, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the Star Wars stream. I'll be back tomorrow with more Star Wars related gameplay. Until then, stay safe, stay hydrated, and may the Force be with you.